Yo, in 2015, Disney Pixar came up with this brand new idea. They took a risk on this concept for a movie, and it was going to be deeper. It was going to be more focused, even adult themed a little bit than any other movie before it. It was a huge risk. And the movie's called Inside Out. It wasn't like Toy Story where the toys get lost and they go to try to find their owner. They explore some different themes, but it's not super deep. It's not super emotional. You have cars where the one car is this arrogant jerk race car, the Lightning McQueen, and he goes to a small town in the middle of nowhere in the desert of Arizona, and he runs into small town people, and all of a sudden he's not an arrogant jerk race car anymore. Inside Out explores very different, very serious themes. And you've probably seen it before. It's one of the more popular movies right now because that risk back in 2015 paid off. We did a Disney bracket. You guys remember that last March? We did a Disney versus Pixar bracket. And people, I was really surprised. People came out in droves to vote for Inside Out to try to push it forward in the bracket. It ultimately got wrecked by Toy Story because Toy Story is awesome. But it did really well. In that movie, if you've never seen it before, just to kind of summarize it, it's about a preteen girl named Riley who is leaving from Midwest. She's a hockey loving, which I respect. Go Caps. She's a hockey loving kid, this preteen who's moving from the Midwest with her family all the way out to suburban California, to San Francisco. And she's going through all these changes. Like her family's moving, dad's getting this new job. She's growing up, going through preteen angst, and she's got to deal with joy, fear, anger, disgust, sadness, and all these emotions. They're working up this control center. You guys can see it kind of above me, but they're working up in this control center to try to help her out. So like in the movie, you guys can see left to right, you have her dressed up. She's got a smile on her face. She's experienced deep joy, and then disgust. This third image boils into anger. You guys can see her dress, her outfit is a little bit different to convey each emotion. On the far right, she's got fear, and it leads to sadness for her. And we go to the next picture. Like this is the control panel, and it's got our dude anger. All right, and his head is blowing off. All right, this is a scene where he's like, I just can't take it anymore. And he grabs the controls and he flips it forward and he gets really, really angry. And then Riley gets really, really angry in the scene. But this movie, like, it's about how to appropriately deal with your emotions and how each emotion has its place. It's a deep centered movie. Have you ever noticed in this movie though, like anger blows his top off whenever he gets really, really angry. There's even a phrase for getting really angry. It's blowing your top off or blowing your lid. Some people nowadays are like, when they're really mad at someone, they'll be like, yo, I'm about to go off on that person. But when you search anger from the movie Inside Out, I did a Google search. It was tons of images like this. Most of the images were him blowing his top off. His eyes are dilated. His head's on fire. His fists are clenched. His teeth are showing almost like a wild beast that's about to like fight somebody. The dude is ready to speak his mind and is ready for a fight. He is about to go off. Now, there are very few images of anger without his head on fire. Like I had a really hard time searching for a good image of him just like this. And I think that says something about us. I think that says something about humans where we treat anger as a weapon. We treat it as a shield. We treat it like this image. Someone treats us wrong, we want to get angry and attack them. We don't get our way. Sometimes we get angry and we selfishly mistreat others. Maybe our parents won't let us out past curfew, so we go off. Or we can't get to that party, so we go off on our parents. Or we don't get that clothing or phone we want, so we go off on our parents. Or maybe it's our friend. Somebody is being mistreated by someone else that we care about, and we get defensive and we go off on the other person looking for a fight. Anger comes quick. It comes fast and naturally to most people. And when it comes to fast, we tend to blow our top off the faster we get in anger. And we just go off. People in our path better watch out when that happens because they'll get burned. But anger, I want you to know, like, anger can also be a good thing. Like, anger has this negative stigma behind it. It's not like joy. It's not like sadness. It's not like disgust. Anger has a negative stigma, but anger can be a good thing. But here's the kicker, dude. Here's the kicker. God created us with emotions. We were meant to experience anger, but anger without peace, anger misused, anger unnatural leads to sin. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's continue our reading in Ephesians. It's right next to me. So check this out. It says, Paul writes in Ephesians 4:26-27, it says, in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still what? Angry. And don't give the devil a foothold. So Paul writes this. This goes on for what we've been talking about in Ephesians 4, the whole putting on things. But first, what you got to do is what? You got to take off. You got to take off the old self before you put on the new self. And in between that, you got to think differently about yourself. You have to renew your mind. So taking off, renewing your mind, putting on. Paul, the question I want to ask you though, like as we read this verse, check out the top. It says in your anger, it's in red. It says do not sin. Just look at this verse for a second. Is Paul saying don't get angry? Is that what Paul's implying here? Is he saying anger's bad? Don't get angry. Like, no, Paul is saying when you get angry. When you get angry, don't let it become bad. Anger is going to come and go in your life. Anger is natural. Anger is a God-given emotion. Losing control, though, is unnatural. But anger is natural. God gets angry. Jesus got angry at times. Dude, Jesus flipped tables in his Father's house out of disgust for what people were using the temple for. They were buying and selling things. They were misusing the place. He's like, yo, this is a den of thieves. He's flipping tables, turning over coin vendors, all this stuff, flipping change everywhere. Like, he was angry. Anger is going to come and go in your life. But Paul says it's important that it does go. That it does not linger, that you do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. Do not give the devil a foothold because anger rises. Anger always has a rising level. What I mean by that is, so like I cook, and I like making Parmesan chicken, and I got this new meat thermometer. So what you do is, like for Parmesan chicken, I get my egg, I stir and beat my egg, leave it in the bowl. I put flour in the bowl, the other bowl. Then I put breadcrumbs in the bowl, and I put it through the process of laying my tenderloins in there. And then I turn my skillet on medium high, and it has oil in it. And I put the chicken in there, but it's really hard to tell when the chicken is cooked. And the temperature it's supposed to be at is 160. All right. It's important that you don't turn the oven on too high. If it does, man, it's going to burn up really quick. And it's going to burn up the breadcrumb, cheese, the layer that's on it. It makes it nice and crispy and tastes really good, you know? But like you have to be careful about that. So I put my meat thermometer in there. I check the temperature. If it's under 160, it's undercooked. But I want that joker just right. And anger, when used just right, as long as we don't let it boil, as long as we don't fester in our anger, as long as we're not quick to get angry, anger can be a great tool because it lets us know, hey, something is wrong. It needs to be fixed. We want to go through the process of handling conflict just right. So check this out. It's like when anger stirs in us, we have a choice. We make a choice in this moment. You can talk it out and work towards forgiveness, work out the problem, work out the conflict that you have with that person or your parents. You can voice reason and you can be calm, or you can create damage, division, and rifts and work to destroy God's new family. You're either working towards destruction or you're working towards reconciliation. You're either working towards ruin and brokenness, or you're working towards fixing. And anger, dude, anger lets me know that something's wrong. Anger lets me know that something needs to be fixed. That's what anger is good for. That's that 160 degrees where the chicken's fully done. That's that solution to the problem. That is what anger is for. But in your anger, do not sin. In your anger, don't jump to conclusions. In your anger, don't boil over, and don't let it fester. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, and give the devil a foothold. Because once you've gone too far in anger, it's almost not going to go. It's going to run its course. So take off anger. First step. Remember, we're doing take off, renew your mind, put on. So first step, take off anger. James 1:19-20 says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Take notes. Listen to this. It's really important. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in human anger. It's so easy to get caught up on how the world does it. It's so easy to identify as a broken person who just wants to get angry sometimes. James writes, man, if you want to have an anger that produces an opportunity to say something's wrong and needs fixing, you need to slow down. You need to be calm. You need to slow down the anger. Like, put that joker on medium high. Don't go to boiling hot and burn the food. Get to the right temperature and then open up about the problem. That's how you handle conflict. The best way to take off anger, the Bible says, is to be slow about it. James writes that slow buildup signifies self-control. But if you're constantly blowing up, you have a problem. Your anger is an issue for you and you lack control. So the first one, take off anger. Does it really mean to take off anger? Yeah, it does, over time, slowly. After I've said, hey, you know what? I'm really angry about something and we need to talk it out. All right. So the next thing you can do is renew your mind. Second step, conflict takes work, and boiling over with anger is a sign of evil, wickedness, and weakness. The world says, anger, getting mad, getting angry, being frustrated is a sign of strength. But God says, man, if you don't have self-control, you have weakness. You're weak. The world says anger is dominance. But Jesus says anger without peace is worthless. Change the way you see yourself. Change the way you see yourself. You're created in the image of God. You're intended for good. You're intended for building up. You're intended for creating. You're intended for fixing. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. It's Matthew 5:9. See yourself as someone who's meant to bring peace to the world, not someone who's meant to crush, put down, tear people apart. We talked about last week about how the church is the body, Christ is the head. You're part of the body, and when something's wrong with it. Like, I know that my knee, I have to take care of it because it gets hurt really easily. Like, you are someone who's meant to bring peace to the world. When something's broken and needs fixing, and anger can lead to that. Anger is that red light of like, oh snap, something's wrong. Now, how do I fix it? How do I bring peace to this situation? How do I just restore this relationship? How do I forgive somebody that's messed up because God's forgiven me? That's the solution to conflict. The solution to conflict isn't, I'm going to get my way. My way is the right way. This person's garbage. I'm going to put them down. I'm going to bury them. Conflict is an opportunity for forgiveness. So the last thing you do is put on peace, work towards forgiveness. The consequence of sin is death. We deserve death for our wrongdoings, but God demonstrates his love through Jesus. Jesus died to reconcile people to himself. Jesus is a peacemaker, reuniting me and you with God. And the best way to put on peace is to be constantly working towards forgiveness. Don't let your anger boil over. Don't get a hot head too quick. Don't be too fast in what you do. Don't go from 0 to 200 and destroy everything around you. Don't fester over time and slowly get the buildup and go past the temperature that you're supposed to be at. But rather be slow. Don't let your anger boil over. Don't fester in it to where it gets too hot. Because anger, it's like hot air. Hot air rises temperature. The temperature will continue to rise if you just let it hang out. All right, I've gotten to a point where it's hot enough. I need to let you know what's wrong. The best way to put on peace is constantly be working towards reconciliation and forgiveness. Yo, if you have a hot head, you can't work towards forgiveness. You got to let that hot head go. You got to be slower than you are. Your hate has to be taken off. Your mind has to be renewed. And then, and only then, can you put on peace. Before that, you will only bring ruin. Yo, high school life group is tonight. Come join us 6:30 to 8. Middle school life group, Sunday morning, second service. Otherwise, Sunday night, 6:30 to 8. This is the last Sunday night we will be offering middle school life group virtually. Peace.